You need to start making decisions based on who you are becoming and what that person would do in the moment. The person that you are becoming and the results that that person is going to have is going to operate differently in the face of an excuse of I don't have enough time. They're going to make the time because it's a priority to them, because they're committed to it. What's up, you guys? Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Macro Hour with Nikki Stott, co-founder of WarriorBabe. And on this podcast, we talk about mindset, methodologies, and tactics that will help you lose body fat, build muscle, be strong, and feel insanely confident. I am your host, Nikki Stott, and welcome, my friends, to episode number 259. And today, guys, we're having no fluff conversation today about the real reason that your results might not be where you want them to be. And it's not going to be a nutrition conversation. It's not going to be a training conversation, or am I working out hard enough, or am I eating enough? It's going to be around the mindset aspect. That's going to be the takeaway that I want you guys to have from this episode today. It's not because that you don't want the goal that you're going after bad enough. It's not because you're missing the perfect quote unquote plan. The reason why you might not be where you want to be, and guys, I'm going to have some tough love with y'all today because that's just the vibe I'm on right now. I'm also, this is a side note, but I believe in this, the follicular phase of my period or my cycle, right? So I'm in the no fucks attitude right now, and I'm going to pour into you guys because I love you guys so much. And I see this topic that I'm going to talk about today unconsciously holding people back to get to their goals and where they want to be. So it's going to be mindset related. Like I said, it's again, not because you want it bad enough, your goals. It's not because you don't want to achieve something bad enough. It's not because you're missing out on I'm not following the perfect thing for me. And while there may be a little bit of a percentage to those things, it's mainly because your standards don't match your goals. So if you're feeling stuck in your journey, if you're feeling stuck in your fat loss, if you're feeling even in your mindset, if you're having these narratives going on that are of lack or of not being enough or of I can't do this, or of old patterns and old habits. And I want you guys to ask yourself this one question: what standard am I operating from right now? Because here's the deal. The standards that you guys set are the results that you guys are going to get. You can't expect you wanting to have drastic results or drastic changes or drastic outcomes or elite outcomes while holding yourself to average effort, to effort that you've been doing year after year, week after week, day after day. So I want to break it down and get to how you guys can raise your standards and finally get the results that actually are going to stick with you. And I want you guys to just think about that question, where am I operating from right now? What standard am I operating from, right? And as we go around about this podcast episode and I dive into this topic with you, I just want that question kind of hanging there on the sideline, so that what I'm talking about, maybe I bring up a higher level standard and you can see where you may be operating from right now, which I want you guys to mentally grasp it by the end of this episode. But then I want you guys to go into your daily efforts today, tomorrow, next week, next month, consistently trying to get yourself to raise yourself to those standards. Because this is the thing, you guys don't rise to your goals. Okay, so you have these goals in mind. You don't rise to them. You will fall to your standards on a daily basis. And your standards daily are what is unconsciously, like I said, holding you back from you trying to raise up to the goals that you have, right? It's a high level thought process there to think about, but just keep tracking with me. So one of the myths that I see in fitness, and I've talked about this in early on episodes, is a really good episode around focusing on your systems, not on your goals. And once you get the systems in place, you will get to your goals. But basically, a myth that I see is that setting a big goal isn't enough. It's not. The setting a big goal is enough. It's not enough. I hear all the time, you can say every single day, I want to lose 20 pounds. How many times have you said that over and over and over again? or I want to feel amazing in my skin, or I want to wear a 2-piece bikini, or I want to build muscle and I want to tone up, or I want to get rid of these love handles. I want to get rid of this bat wing. Like, those are just wishes if your standards don't back them up. Because when push comes to shove, like, you're not going to rise to that goal that you have. You're going to fall to the level of your systems, to the level of your habits, and to the level of your standards. And here's what I mean by that. If your standard is only training when you feel motivated, how many of you guys only get after it because you feel motivated and you're led by that emotion and you haven't yet realized that motivation is an emotion and it's going to ebb and flow? If your standard is that you only train when you feel motivated, you're going to fall every single day to that standard. Or if your standard is trying to eat healthy without structure. I hear that and have heard that all of the time. I've talked to thousands of women who say, I eat healthy. And I'm like, what does eating healthy look like to you? And then it's like, oh, well, I wake up and I have avocado and toast. And I'm like, cool, that's healthy. Where's the protein? Or I eat 3 meals a day, but it's maybe a chicken salad at lunch, the avocado and toast at breakfast. And then I hear this all the time, whatever I make for the family at night. And I'm like, okay, but like, are you getting the results that you want with that? So my point is like, you're falling to the standard of trying to eat healthy without any type of structure in your day, or skipping your breakfast and then overeating later. That's your standard. You skip breakfast. That was me back in the day. Would always skip breakfast. And then I would eat from lunch to dinner, or I would go all day long with not eating and then hoard all my food at nighttime and eat one meal back in the day, 10 years ago. And that was my standard. Was I getting the results that I wanted? No. And this is why, because my standard every day was me operating or falling to this level of my standards, my habits, and my systems. Or if your standard is you're only getting 4 hours of sleep and you're wondering why you're exhausted and you're craving junk food, then guess what? If these are your standards, you're going to get inconsistent, frustrating results that don't reflect your true effort. And this isn't about like me yelling at you or shaming you. And I told you guys like I was going to give you tough love. I want you guys to wake up. It's about waking you up. It's about shaking you. Like if I was in person with you and I was having this conversation, as I shared in previous episode where I was on a trip in Mexico and I'm meeting these women where they're at, but like I like want to shake you guys. Like I want to wake you guys up. And that's what I'm doing here in these episodes and these podcasts. Like I love you guys so much. I want you to win. I want you to see my perspective through my lens. Like if you're operating this way, this is what's going to happen. Because when you realize that your current standards are actually below the level of results that you say you want, then that's when everything starts to change. Let me just say that one more time because I want it to click in your head. When you realize that how you're currently operating, what your systems are, what your habits are, what your standards are actually like if you're only training when you're motivated, if you're only trying to eat healthy without structure, if you're skipping breakfast and you're overeating later, if you're only getting 4 hours of sleep and you're wondering why you're exhausted and you're craving junk food, like if you are operating from those standards and you realize that those current standards they're below the level of the results that you say you want, because, and I'm going to get in this, the results that you want, sorry, but you aren't going, the results that you want will take the standard of, I'm going to have to become disciplined because motivation ebbs and flows. I need to eat with structure because nutrition is really freaking important. And I need to make sure that I'm getting a consistent amount of the right types of protein, fats, and carbs, or more meals in the day because I need to eat more food. Or I can't skip breakfast because then if I skip breakfast, chaos happens internally. You guys should know this by now of all the episodes I've shared. And then if you're only getting 4 hours of sleep, you understand how sleep is so important, right? So like the operation of the standards of the just said, you're operating from the opposite of what I just said, only training when you feel motivated, trying to eat healthy. They're below that's you operating below the level of the results that you say you want. And when you can recognize that and realize that, that's where literally everything starts to change. If you can be honest with yourself, if you can take responsibility with yourself, if you can own where you're at in your life right now and you bring awareness to it, you can start to change everything. Hey, while you're listening, if you're getting value from this episode, take a moment to tap that review button or share this podcast with a friend. It's a small gesture that goes a long way in helping more women find their way to feeling stronger and more confident in their skin. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to support this show. I wanted this episode to flow from that fit identity episode that I did because that one soared through the roof in numbers. If you haven't checked out that episode, go check it out. People must have had it on repeat or shared it, and I love you guys for doing that. I say that every episode. Appreciate you guys sharing the episodes, but it blew up in numbers. And so what I want to talk about the fit identity from that episode is pull into here as a standard is the identity. Because your identity is like the thermostat that sets your behavior. So if you want to be how to become that fit identity, you got to start with your standards. If you see yourself as someone who's always like on and off, like I talked about in that episode, someone who's always struggling with consistency, someone who just isn't disciplined, quote unquote, then every time life gets hard, you default to that identity. But when you raise your standards, you start shifting your self-concept. You start saying things like, I'm someone who doesn't break promises to myself. That is one of my mottos. I keep the promises that I make to myself. I'm the type of woman who shows up, even when I don't feel like it. This is just who I am now. If you can start saying things like that, and again, it's not about being perfect. Okay, like I've talked about like episodes where like I endured things and I just like muscled through it. It's not about being that. It's about being aligned. You're no longer trying to force yourself into consistency. You're operating from a new identity, and your actions will naturally start to match that new identity. Because if you want to become that fit it girl, you want to be healthy, you want to be confident, you want to be strong, you want to have that body, you want to have those results, you got to change how you're operating right now, because how you're operating right now is what got you to where you are right now. And you need to start operating from a new identity, and you need to start taking different actions daily. And when you start taking different actions daily, you're naturally going to match that new identity. That's where confidence gets built, my friends. Not from like the goal itself, like an overarching big goal, but from becoming the woman who lives at the higher standards on a daily basis. Meal prepping your food, tracking your macros, creating structure, going and showing up at the gym even if you don't want to, when you're not motivated, getting enough sleep throughout the night. And obviously, like all of this stuff isn't going to happen overnight, but if you can start taking different actions that align to that identity on a daily basis, you're going to notice a compound effect. And in 6 months or 8 months, you're going to notice that you are showing up way differently than you did 8 months ago or 6 months ago. So what actually changes when you raise your standards? Everything. You start expecting more from yourself, not in like a hustly, like culture, like hustle culture or like toxic type of way, but in a way that's like very self-respecting. You start showing up even on hard days because your standard is no longer tied to the emotion of if I'm feeling good or if I'm feeling it, or, you know, if I'm just too busy or I don't have enough time. You start showing up even on those days because you're no longer tied to that excuse, or you're no longer tied to the emotion of I'm tired or I'm too busy or I'm exhausted or I'm frustrated or I'm angry. You're no longer tied to those. You're tied to commitment. And that big shift, you stop making decisions based on how you feel in the moment and start making decisions based on who you are becoming. Because if you make decisions that are based in the moment, based off of emotion, you're going to continue to operate from who you are right now. And that's not the name of the game anymore. You need to start making decisions based on who you are becoming and what that person would do in the moment. The person that you are becoming and the results that that person is going to have is going to operate differently in the face of an excuse of I don't have enough time. They're going to make the time because it's a priority to them, because they're committed to it. And then once you start doing that, guys, your excuses get way quieter. Your follow through gets so much stronger. you become the woman who can trust herself. That's huge. And then your results, they stop being inconsistent. They stop being like yo-yo-y. They become literally inevitable because your standard holds the line. Mic drop. I'm going to mic drop on my own podcast, okay? You got to hold the line for yourself. And what does that line look like? Are you going to lower to your current standards, or are you going to raise the bar for yourself because who you want to become is operating from a different standard? You got to hold the line. So now you guys know what I do. I like to talk about practical takeaways. Like, let's talk about action, because I know some of you are like, all right, I'm ready. Like, dude, Nikki, you're pouring into me. I hear you so loud and clear. Like, I can feel you. Like, you're speaking right to me. But where do I even start? Because like I threw out like a bunch of things y'all can start doing. And I know that can be overwhelming. So 3 powerful ways that you guys can raise your standards starting today. 1, I want you guys to audit your current acceptable minimum. What are things that you are doing currently right now that you're tolerating that don't match that future version of you? Maybe it's that you're hitting 50 grams of protein, you're calling it good enough. 50, 60 grams, 70 grams, 80 grams of protein, you're calling it good enough. Maybe it's skipping workouts because you're tired, even though you know movement is what will help your energy and will help you get, stronger. Get real about the low standards that you've normalized for yourself. I'm going to pull back the Mexico trip. The women I talk to, I don't have enough time. Okay. You don't have enough time for your health. You don't have enough time to seek out better ways to eat for yourself, which then is going to ripple effect into how you raise your kids to eat better. And your husband may even jump on board, or your partner. You don't have enough time for that. You don't have enough time to prioritize basically your overall well-being. What? When I say that out loud, like, how does that relate back to you when I say that out loud? You don't have enough time for that. So get real about that low standard that you normalized for yourself. Because when you say it like that, you're just going to continue. If you continue to say I don't have enough time, you're just going to continue to operate from that lower standard. You're going to continue to have that excuse always in everything that you do, when what you're trying and want to do, say eating better or working out, is going to drastically improve your life. Maybe it's even in a professional space. I just don't have enough time to sit down and go on LinkedIn and look for jobs, even though you may be in a position where you need a job and you're operating from, I don't have enough time because other things are getting in the way. Whatever. I'm going to go back to fitness because y'all know I talk about this is the fitness podcast. But that's the first thing that I want you guys to do. Audit your current acceptable minimum. The second thing that I want you guys to do is choose one elevated standard and lock it in. I don't want you guys to try and change 10 things. I just want you to pick one thing. Maybe it's I hit my protein every day, no matter what. Maybe it's I train 3 times a week minimum. Maybe it's I don't hit snooze button in the morning and I get it when I say I will. And if you hold that standard, especially when it's inconvenient, especially if you're tired and you're busy and I don't have enough time and I got to, spend an hour meal prepping. If you hold that standard, you pick one that's elevated, it's different from where you are. It's the opposite of a low standard of what you've normalized. That's how your identity will start to shift. And then the third thing that I want you to do is change your language. Your words, what you say to yourself, are like the Bible. Words matter. Stop saying, I'm trying. Start saying, this is just who I am now. Do you hear and feel that difference? Stop saying, I just don't have enough time. Start saying, this is what I prioritize for my health. Stop saying, I'm just too busy. Start saying, these are tools and resources that I want to learn so that I can be a better role model for my family, for my friends, for the people that are closest to me in my space, to help them understand and help me understand my health and help them then understand their health and how to make their overall well-being better. My overall well-being better, their overall well-being better. Ain't nobody too busy for that. When you change your language, language anchors into your behavior. If you speak like someone who's unsure, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy, you'll act like someone who's unsure, or your actions will then turn into not making enough time or not following through or not showing up. Speak with ownership. Own your new standard before it feels even natural for you. Because if it's not going to feel natural at the beginning, you're literally rewiring how you've operated for so long. So it's going to feel messy. It's going to feel unnatural. You're going to have some bumps in the road. Maybe even when you say it out loud, this is just who I am, that's going to feel weird. But just keep saying, like, own it. Speak it with ownership. You got to raise the bar to raise your life. Because, like, if you've been wondering why things aren't clicking, like why your results feel slow or why they feel inconsistent or why you're frustrated and why you start, like, why maybe you start feeling like you're getting results and you're strong, but you can't seem to stay there, dude, check in on you, check in on your standards, check on where you're at, take responsibility, because your results don't lie. They will always reflect the level that you're currently living at. God is just speaking through me right now and into you guys and pouring into you guys. And I want more for you. I want more for you, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Because when you raise your own standards in one area of life, they rise everywhere. Okay, so here's your challenge, my friends. Audit your standards right now where you're at. Choose one to raise and hold the line. Hold the line. That's going to be my line. Hold the line. Not when it's easy, and especially when it's not easy, because the standards that you set are the results that you're going to get. If this episode hit home for you guys, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message too. All right? Spread the word. Get people to notice. Like, if more people can understand this message, it is just my hope and dream that more people will just change where they're currently at so that they can do better and be better for themselves. Till next time, you guys, man, stay elevated, work on these things, stay strong, stop settling for less when you're capable of so much more. All right. Love you guys. Peace out. See you in the next episode. Real quick, if this episode resonated with you or gave you the push that you needed, I'd love for you to pay it forward. Drop a quick rating and review, share the podcast with someone who might need it, and help me keep spreading the word. Your feedback not only helps the show grow, but it might just be the nudge someone else needs to kickstart their transformation. Thank you so much for your support.